What's up, guys? This is Stevan and I'm here today with another fantastic tier list. Today, I'm going to be ranking the greatest American wrestlers of all time and making a tier list out of them. But before we get into it today, make sure to, you know the drill, subscribe, like this video, and turn notification bells on. We'll be cooking this year, 2025. So let's go. Oh, also, I got poked in the eye. I'm not just wearing these sunglasses to be cool or anything. I actually got my cornea cut. I have a cornea scratch. Got it jammed, hit at practice. I was helping out for high school, and a little 100-pound freshman poked me in the eye. So I guess that's the downfall of me. 20 years of wrestling, never had my cornea scratched, and here I am. But anyway, so to get to the news, first off, guys, ONEV, the shoes, big news are coming in the next few days about the shoes. So if you guys want any more updates on that, be sure to follow onev.world Instagram, link in description. Oh, second, got my Patreon that I've started working on technique. I'm going into a greater depths to go through match breakdowns, showing technique, instructional videos that go with me and my father and my training partners of kind of getting behind the scenes looks that you guys don't get usually on YouTube. So make sure to go check out my Patreon and subscribe to that as well. Vlogs are going to be starting here soon, guys, so be patient. I know a lot of you guys are asking for my vlogs, some of the stuff from my training and travel and everything like that. That's coming as well soon. So all right, guys, without further ado, let's get into this list. Okay, so what I've basically done for the greatest American wrestlers tier list, here's the credentials. Pretty much, you have to be a world champion or an Olympic champion, a gold medalist in either one of those categories. Obviously, both are probably going pretty high. But for Team USA, that's how we're doing this because there's so many medalists, there's so many placers in both these tournaments. We're just going to cut to the chase. You got to be a world champ or an Olympic champ to make the GOAT list for America. And we're doing it of all time. I found a really cool Win magazine article that went over the previous world champions all the way up to 2023 and Olympic champions up to 2023. It was cool to see who won both, who only won Worlds, and who only won the Olympics. So that's kind of the list I used. And so the things I'm going to be taking into account of, obviously, are the numbers of those, whether they won both, the time frame that they won them in, and the legacy that they've created and last over that time period. Okay, that's really important. And then the fourth tier that I'll kind of add in, a fourth point is whether or not maybe like coaching wise or like impact that they've had post their career as well. So that can give some brownie points that I'm going to add in as well. Looking at the list here, so we've got it at the top. This is all S tier pretty much. Obviously A is the lowest, which is pretty tough. I had to add it in there, but in my opinion, I really think if you're a world champ or Olympic champ, you should be S tier. But there are some, as you can see, it goes SS, S plus, double S is second, then S tier, then A tier. At the bottom, too old for me. This is a little bit out of my time range, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, there are some of the guys I didn't recognize because it was past. I actually even cut out some of the Olympic champions that were before 1976. So I know like the Peterson brothers didn't make the cut, which were the only two I knew that were before the time period. Before that, I really didn't recognize anybody. So just a disclaimer there. So don't chew me out for missing some guys that are from really old times that I missed. Okay, all right. So starting the list off, we got Cael Sanderson. Okay, now this is tough. Cael was an Olympic champion. To make this list, he was not a world champion. To make that clear, he was a world bronze medalist, I believe. But he was an Olympic gold medalist in 2004 at a stacked weight class with Yoel Romero, with Sajidov, both having, I believe, wins over Cael. So for me, Cael is a one-time Olympic gold medalist, but not only was he at a stacked weight class, he's had an impact of what he's been able to do over that decade of wrestling. In college, four-time NCAA champion, undefeated, only one to do that. But his coaching, what he's been able to do and create at Penn State, and what he's been able to do and develop all these wrestlers who are now coming out and turning out to be world and Olympic champions that he's coached himself. For me, I would put Cael in the double S tier, and he's probably going to be the highest one up there. Next, we've got Kyle Snyder, aka Captain America. How can you not put Captain America high on this list, okay? He's a world champion. He's an Olympic champion. He hits both tiers there, and on top of which, he has a win, the only win over Abdul Rashid Sadulayev in 2017 to help ice America's world title run. So I gotta put Kyle Snyder, in my opinion, in the triple S tier because he's won both of those tournaments. Like I said, that gives an extra high up slot for that, and he's been around. He's been doing it for year after year year after year, and his legacy in the freestyle, doing it pretty much at 20 years, starting and winning his first world title at 20 years old. That's pretty phenomenal to do. That's pretty unheard of. Youngest world champ for America, gets the Triple S plus tier. Okay, now we got Dan Gable. Now, Dan Gable, legacy alone, sits very, very high. Also, 3-time NCAA champion. And on the freestyle, he was an Olympic and a world champion, okay? We got to give Dan Gable his respect. I think, you know, this is tough for me because I definitely think Dan Gable is a little bit outdated, and it's crazy in my opinion how wrestling has really, really stuck around the Gable era, because not just only from his wrestling, people just know him for his coaching now. But it's kind of crazy in my opinion how, like, that we're still kind of caught up in this. It's kind of like being like, and now with basketball, like, oh yeah, like still talking about Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when you had guys like Michael Jordan and LeBron James do it in the sport and having greats. But nonetheless, his legacy has kind of created this Gable era that led in the Iowa style that's led for America. So he means a lot to the American people. Nonetheless, you know, he is starting to get old, and I really like that Dan Gable, as much as he gets a lot of credit for going hard. I love what Dan Gable said about his wrestling career and turning, you know, saying he would kind of move into the modern science world of wrestling and adjust to modern times. So for me, Dan Gable sits pretty high. I got to give him that Triple S tier for America. Brandon Slay. Brandon Slay is an Olympic gold medalist for U.S. He won in Sydney 2000. He beat the world's greatest freestyle wrestler of all time, Buvasar Saitiev, to go on and win the gold. He actually won the silver medal. He lost to Alexander Leopold from Germany, but Leopold failed doping. So that meant Brandon Slay took the gold home. In congruency with that, Brandon Slay has also, you know, coached the USA's developmental team. He's helped coach many greats. Right now he's coaching Jordan Burroughs at Penn RTC. For me, Brandon Slay probably goes in the S tier, probably high up in the S tier for doing so. Moving on, another one who's coached as well as world champion Bill Zadick. Okay, Bill Zadick, he was a world champion in 2006, and now, listen, guys, he's only a one-time world champion, but you got to give Bill Zadick his due. He wrestled at 66 kilos, okay? America's historical worst weight class of all time. He was the last world champion at 65 kilos, last world medalist, okay? Yanni Diakomihalis. Yanni was the last one to break the curse of America having a medal since 2006 where Bill won gold, okay? So that's just how difficult it is for USA and at that weight class. USA just struggles there straight up, and I got to give, you know, Bill Zadick so much credit for doing that, and what he's done for USA Wrestling, helping them churn out the champs that they have, winning a team title in 2017, and being able to just dominate and have multiple world champs and medalists and Olympic medalists over the years. He's done a phenomenal job. So for me, he also goes in the S tier. Okay, Bobby Weaver. Bobby Weaver was an Olympic champion in 1984 Olympics. Olympic champion, but this was a Russia boycott year. Very tough, and there's going to be a lot of names that maybe you guys don't recognize. Bobby Weaver was a dog. I remember like watching old film of him wrestling like Bela Glazov and stuff. He was great. I'm going to put him in A tier, but because I don't know too much about him. He was a little bit over my era. Next up, we got Chris Campbell, okay? Big boy wrestling. I think he was a world champion in 1981 during kind of that U.S. era, which was doing really well. I think he was overshadowed by a lot of greats, but he still was a world champion, a multiple-time NCAA champion, phenomenal for Team USA. So I'm going to give him high A tier for that. Next, we got Jake Varner, okay? Jake Varner, 2012, Olympic gold medalist in London, multiple-time NCAA champ as well, and I think, not that this was a surprise, but no one really expected him to go and win the gold medal that year, and he did. He put on a show, and he kind of held down that spot before Kyle Snyder ended up coming in and taking it while he was young. So Jake Varner, freak. He was awesome. Great wrestler. I'm going to have to put him also in high A tier. We got one of the undisputed American GOATs. We got John Smith, okay? He's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, the only one on this list to have 2 Olympic gold medals, and a 4-time world champion on top of it. He pretty much won from a world title and then an Olympic title, then 3 world titles in between it, and capped off his career with an Olympic gold. He didn't lose when he was on. He was 6-time gold medalist, and he won all of them. He went 6 for 6. He pretty much went Michael Jordan on him, and right now he's going to be #1. Okay, there's only one other that can really contend, and we're going to get to him soon. All right, Dave Schultz, the Lost Legend, RIP. One of my favorites to watch. I think that, you know, he was a world champion and an Olympic champion, I believe. Yep, he was a 1983 world champion and then Olympic gold medalist in 1984 when Russia boycotted, which is kind of crazy. I always thought, you know, him and his brother Mark Schultz were two of the best wrestling duo brothers of all time. And, you know, Dave with... You know, his legacy has just lasted so long after he passed away in that tragic Foxcatcher incident back in 1996. You know, I got to put him pretty high just because of that legacy that Dave Schultz has, and being a world champion and an Olympic champion on top of which I think he moves into high up into double S. David Taylor. This one's tough. 3-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. What he's doing, he's the relevancy bias here with some of these recents. I got to move him high up because of his dominance. Also on the mat, just destroying his opponents. Putting David Taylor high. I'm probably going to put him in S tier, like high up S tier. Just because of his domination in recents. I don't think we've seen that in a really, really long time to have that. So just his style, his wrestling alone, he's up there. He's probably top 5 greatest American wrestlers. Maybe top 3. All right, we got Randy Lewis, 1984. Olympic gold medalist. Very unorthodox style, but really exciting to watch. He had a little nice reach around lat pull trip that he used to hit. Very, very funky wrestler, but man, he was dangerous. And I remember him putting on a show against the Korean in the Olympic finals in the boycott year. So I'm gonna move Randy Lewis because of how exciting he was as well. He's got to also move up in the A tier in that time. But that was really it for Randy. I mean, I remember he gave John Smith some great matches back in the day. He might have won one of them actually for John Smith to make the Olympic team that year. So we got my boy, my old coach, Kevin Jackson, KJ, Olympic gold medalist, world champion. Man, Kevin Jackson is great for the sport. 1991 world champ, 1992 Olympic gold medalist, and then in 1995 won the worlds again. I mean, he has done it all. And the crazy thing is, I know I forgot to mention it, Kevin Jackson's one of the best to never win an NCAA title as well, which I didn't realize he didn't win. Which is pretty crazy. You know, I got to give him, he's a great guy, great coach. What he's done at the OTC for the development, what he's done for Iowa State, what he's done for University of Michigan. He's up there, triple S tier, in my opinion. He goes up high. So we got Jaden Cox, okay? In my opinion, during this time period, he was probably my favorite American wrestler going. Jaden won a back-to-back world titles, Olympic bronze medalist. He didn't have a point scored on him. I think 1 point scored on him in 2 years. He just knew how to win these matches and just close guys out against really, really tough opponents. You know, he went and he beat David Taylor to make the Rio Olympic team at 86 kilos and then goes on and takes bronze. And I mean, that year, and then goes and wins back-to-back world titles, I think in 2018 and 2019. So for me, Jaden Cox, I would have to put him in the double S tier just for the back-to-back world titles. Pretty impressive. We got the next GOAT. We got Jordan Burroughs, JB. His strength and his, you know, the fact he's still going now, making world teams. 7-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. This is tough. You got to put him and John Smith in that talk. I would tie them if I could, really. Like, I would tie them if I could. Just because of both have elevated wrestling to the next level. I think John Smith really changed wrestling and made it modern. Legacy is coaching. And Jordan Burroughs, like, if he isn't already, he's going to pass John Smith just based off of what he will do probably in the coaching scene when he's finished his career. And I mean, he may as well. He might go on and win a gold medal in LA. So, going to put those two at the top. It's tough. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Another one we got here, we've got Stevan Neal. Okay, Stevan Neal was a world champion in 1999. Okay, he won the NCAAs as well. But the cool thing about Stevan Neal is that he went on to play professional football in the NFL and won the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, which is crazy. Okay, so he might be one of the best dual sport athletes of all time, if not, okay? He succeeded not just in wrestling to win a world title, he's also won a damn Super Bowl for the NFL and American football, okay? So because of that, you guys don't realize how cool that is. That goes high up here. He's a sleeper because this is just wrestling, but like double S tier for me, just based off of that. All right, we got Sammy Henson, world champion at the lightweights. Did it in the early 90s, I believe. I'm going to put him in S tier. I think he was great. He had a great pace, great motor. Very, very awesome style to watch. They called him the Bull for a reason. So he goes in S tier for me. All right, next we got Kendall Cross. All right, Kendall Cross, kind of an unorthodox wrestler as well. Had some really great slick moves and attacks, and he's created a lot with being an Olympic gold medalist, okay? He was awesome in the 90s to watch, really, really exciting, and I think he was a fan favorite. So I got to put Kendall Cross pretty high in this too. For being an Olympic gold medalist, I'm going to probably put him in the S tier. Next, we're going to do Kenny Monday, all right? Kenny Monday was another American great. Kenny Monday was a 1989 world champion and then an Olympic gold medalist in 1988, the year before that. One of the most interesting facts was 89, Kenny Monday beat Arsen Fadzayev, one of Russia's greatest, one of the best freestyle wrestlers of all time. Fadzayev bumped up a weight after he just won the Olympics, and Kenny Monday took him out. It was a battle of two Olympic gold medalists, and Kenny ended up winning it. I remember Fadzayev actually choked him out in the match, tapped in with his front headlock, but Kenny Monday came back to end up winning the match. He kind of out-horsed him, outsized him. But man, Kenny Monday was phenomenal for USA. Kind of part of that late 80s squad that kind of just was, really challenged Soviet Union at the time. So for me, winning the Olympic gold and Olympic, having both of those accolades, I got to put Kenny up here. I got to put Kenny up high. We got Henry Cejudo, the one-time Olympic champion. Not only being able to win the Olympic gold medal, but winning the UFC at two weights. Okay, he won it at 25 and 35, holding the champ. They call him the triple champ for a reason. Olympic champ, world UFC champ. Man, one of the greatest just UFC athletes, Hall of Famer. For me, even though he just won this, but the effect that he's had in combat sports, okay, and be able to not only in wrestling, but to reach out to combat sports and show how dominant wrestling is and why it's the most dominant combat sport, that there is in MMA. He's up there, okay? For me, he's going to move up at number 1 to double S tier here, okay? Just based off of that. Next, we got Kurt Angle, okay? Kurt Angle's a great one. Huge dude, world champion, Olympic champion, and then went on to do phenomenal at the WWE. We got to give Kurt Angle credit for this. I mean, I'm giving at least double S tier for guys, even if they were singular world champs or singular Olympic champions, credit for doing extra things, like Henry winning UFC belt, Stephen Neal winning the Super Bowl, playing in the NFL. I mean, that goes high. So for me, these go super, super high. I gotta put them here. We got Logan Stieber, all right? Now, Logan Stieber was a world champion in 2016 at the non-Olympic weight world championship. So there was an asterisk there. He did win it, but with his success in college, being one of America's only 4-time NCAA champions for Ohio State, I got to put him probably the high A tier or S tier. I mean, we're comparing him to legends. So, and a lot of these guys went on to do things great. So I got to put him up here somewhere. And I don't want to disrespect for putting him low. Oh, next we got Zeke Jones, okay? Zeke Jones is up there, world champion, beating Yordanov from Bulgaria, who is a multiple time world champion and Olympic gold medalist for Bulgaria at the lightest weight. I mean, he upset him and won the Olympic gold that year, which was pretty damn impressive to do that. He had an amazing leg weights, was really tricky, really crafty wrestler, and then a phenomenal coach, became head coach for Team USA. Now he's the head coach for Arizona State. He goes up there high for me because of the legacy that he's pushed as well in the sport after and how well he's been known even for that singular trait from being a world champion. So for me, he goes up here in the double S tier. We've got Mark Schultz, Dave Schultz's brother, okay? Now, because of a lot of the things that Dave Schultz get a lot of credit for winning Olympics and Worlds, you got to remember that Mark Schultz was a 2-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, so he actually won another one more than Dave Schultz did. But I feel like Mark Schultz doesn't get maybe as much credit because of Dave Schultz passing. So for him, I'm going to put him right next to his brother in this list, right here at S tier. We got Kyle Dake, Kid Dynamite, 3-time world champion, 2-time Olympic bronze medalist. I'm probably going to put Kyle Dake because this top list is only for doubles. I got to put Kyle probably because of how where he is now and what he's done, and 4-time NCAA champion. Beating so many good wrestlers nowadays. I've got the recency bias as well. I'm going to probably move him up here next to Henry at the double S tier. We got Gable Steveson. my boy, a heavy NCAA champion, coming back to school this year at Minnesota, Olympic gold medalist at heavyweight. Athleticism, I mean, if he keeps at it, he can really be high on this list. But for only being a one-time Olympic champion next to these guys, I'm going to put him at high S tier. But there's so much left on Gable's plate that I can't just put him in this list and say that he's not. He could be a double S, a triple S plus. So don't take any offense, Gable, or anybody there, because this is a list of America's greats, and he is on track to being top 5 of all time just based off of his skill and athleticism at heavyweight. So, I mean, the rest of, the books aren't finished being written on him. I'm just for time's sake going to combine both Brands brothers in here. I got to put them both up here right above the Schultz brothers because of their legacy. Tom being an Olympic champion, Terry for being a world champion. Combine those twins up, coaching for Iowa, the legacy the Brands era brought in for Iowa, and just their style of wrestling. It goes up high for America. This is one that's great. I'm really happy to bring this one up to you guys. Bruce Baumgartner. All right, Bruce Baumgartner is the most decorated wrestler of all time. He may not have the most world titles. He may not have the most Olympic gold, but he's got Olympic gold, he's got a world gold, and he's got like 12 medals, man. I can't even go on to tell you how many Bruce Baumgartner's got. On the list that Wins gave me, listen to what he's got. Okay, world champion in 1986, 1993, and 1995, plus 2 Olympic gold medals in 1984 at 100 kilograms and 130. I don't know if he double wrestled or what the hell that is, but he's got 2 of them. And then he's got, like, on top of it, a million other world silver, world bronze, Olympic silver. I mean, for me, Bruce Baumgartner is just slept on a little bit there in that regard, where people don't realize how good he was and how dominant he was. He goes into number 3 for me. Above Snyder, above David, like, just because of how long he did it for. It's crazy how many medals he has. Maybe you think I'm crazy for that, but he deserves some respect. Next, we got Lee Kemp. Lee Kemp, multiple-time world champion. I think 3-time world champion. I don't know if he ever won the Olympic Games. Yep, just a 3-time world champion. So I'm going to put him right under Gable. I think he actually beat Dan Gable one year, so I could probably put these two intertwined at S tier. So I'm gonna probably put Lee Kemp. I might put him down here. Probably somewhere down here, to be honest, right above Jaden, because Jaden won too. But, Lee Kemp, kind of out of my era a little bit, but phenomenal wrestler, and yeah, I got to give him his respect for what he's done. Okay, last couple we got here, Thomas Gilman, okay? Gilman, multiple-time world medalist. He's won silvers, he's won bronze, he's won an Olympic bronze medal, but he goes on this list because he is a world champion in 2021. I'm probably going to have to put him below Logan Stieber only for the fact that it also was a non-Olympic World Championships, but because of the COVID year, they included the Olympic weights, so he went there, and the field was a little diluted, but nonetheless, a world champ's a world champ, and Gilman has beaten many great wrestlers over the years. World champs and world medalists he's beaten among the lights of them, and so I have to put him in the A tier right around Stieber because of that, and and now what he's done is, this list is extremely deep, and just compared to the rest, it's just tough. It's just tough for me to go through this list all day. We're going to be here a while, but let me know what you guys think. That's it for today on America's Greatest Wrestler tier list. Let me know what you guys think, how you'd rank them, and if I missed anybody, feel free to comment below. And make sure to subscribe, baby. World champs and everything we do, baby.